I saw a post on Facebook the other day. The post came from Mike McGuire, who is currently one of the leading promoters of private signings in the autograph hobby. And it was called Dave Stieb Fan Mail. Many of you may remember Dave Stieb. He was a pitcher for the Blue Jays in the 80s, maybe a little bit in the 70s there as well, but eventually up into the early 90s, pitched a little bit with the White Sox too, but mostly with the Blue Jays. So, Mike's post says, as you can see right here, I am helping Dave go through 4+ years of unanswered mail that he's had in his office all this week, and I wanted to share a peek into the player side of things. At least 50% of all envelopes have had a request of 8 or 9 cards in it, and dozens have had more than 10 cards or index cards being requested. Dave stopped signing fan mail in the past because he feels taken advantage of when folks request this many free signatures. Out of the hundreds of letters we've opened so far, only 1% have had any sort of donation enclosed. Steve has been about an $8 per autograph signer, at least, since I started this hobby in 2007. Goes on to say that out of the about 15% have requested Dave to provide return postage out of his own pocket for their autograph request. Only about 15% of his fan mail has come from Canada, where he played 10+ years of his career. At least a dozen people have used the exact same generic internet-copied form letter to him numerous times instead of actually writing him a real note. 3 people actually crossed out another ballplayer's name on their letter, Kelly Gruber, Clemens, Joe Carter, and wrote Dave Stieb over it. And one guy requested 17 free signed cards and 10 free signed index cards, each with 2 to 3 inscriptions on them, twice. So yeah, that comment about the generic internet form letter is what made me alter what video I was going to do for this week. I was originally going to do a kind of a instructional on how to go about writing a letter and kind of, write one that I have that I'm sending out here and, kind of go through what I write in it and what I look for info. No, that's not happening now. There's a generic internet form letter that people are just copying over. I'm not going to contribute to that, all right? Figure out your own letters. Sure, I can give you some advice on it, but I'm not showing you exactly what I put out there. That's ridiculous. I don't want my stuff that I come up with on my own getting copied by someone and put out there in just this giant bulk mailing. So we're going to change this up, and I decided this week I'm going to do a little bit on autograph etiquette, the do's and don'ts of this hobby. So we're going to start off, let's see, we've got here, 2, 4, 6, 8... about 9 pieces here, it looks like, that I just want to bring up and mention in here that I'm hoping anybody who's watching this knows to follow this kind of stuff. I'm hoping that you're all decent people. I'm pretty sure that a lot of you are. But there's always a few that, I don't want to contribute to anything with that. So just to start off, the very most basic do on this list is do be a decent person. Help other people out. Help other collectors out. Don't give away every single secret and stuff, but help them out if they need advice on something. Help them out if they need to know, hey, where do I go to find addresses? Be willing to offer your help if you've been around this hobby for a while. At the same time, if you're doing this in person, let kids go first as much as you possibly can. I'm not saying, let this crowd of, 20 kids in front of you and hold up the line when they're, getting a slip of paper signed or something like that. But hey, if there's a kid next to you that's really wanting a certain player, let them jump in ahead of you. It keeps the kids interested, and more than anything, the player's probably going to notice that you let that kid jump in, and they're going to be a lot more likely to continue signing for you after that. So keep that in mind if you're doing this in person. And the biggest thing, like I said, helping others, advise new collectors. If there's somebody out there that clearly this is their first time out there doing any of this stuff, help them out with advice on, how to go about, where to stand, how to organize their stuff, anything like that. We've all been new at this hobby at one point or another in our lives. And we've all probably had somebody ahead of us who was able to help us out with a lot of stuff. So, I could give you this whole list of guys I used to hang out with in Boston, people that I found online from when I first started TTMing that were kind of the Obi-Wans and Yodas of the hobby for us there. But be that person for someone else. You probably needed that help at some point. I know I sure as hell did. There's going to be others out there who need it as well. On the other hand, don't put any people on blast. The biggest thing that just annoys me was, and yes, I know somebody's probably going to bring up my Kevin Bass comment a couple weeks ago, but the biggest thing it does nobody any good, really. There's a comment that I saw on Sports Card Forum just the other week that someone brought up. That comment to Rick Shue is kind of just uncalled for, I would say. If you're sending to a guy who signs for free, you send him 4 cards, you get only back 2, deal with it. It's going to happen. If you send a guy, if you're paying for it or something, you're paying for an autograph or something, and you pay for 2 and you only get back 1, oh yeah, you've got a right to be steamed. If you're getting it free and you send him 4 and only 2 come back, it's your loss. Deal with it. That's going to happen at some point in this hobby. It's happened to me a bunch of times. I don't care. Fine. You want to keep 2 of the cards out of those 4? Go ahead. You know, if there's something that you really need signed, like a specific set card, just send that one. You know, don't take too big of a chance on stuff like that. I mean, because if he decides, oh, hey, you sent 4, I'm going to sign these 2 and keep these other 2, and he keeps your set card, hey, you're up the creeks. Fun times there. So, yeah, just, you know, I mean, I don't know where I'm going with exactly that, but kind of lost my train of thought right there. But, you know, just don't go off on them when they don't do what you want, when you're asking them to do something for free. When I was doing a lot of in-person graphing up in Boston, I remember one time out of Fenway Park during the 2004 season, I can't remember who the player was now that was signing, but back when I was going to Fenway, the players' parking was just outside of the stadium, had this big fence around it. The fences were also tarped, so you really couldn't see through them, except for this one little, like, spot that was about just big enough really to pass kind of a baseball, maybe some cards, something like that, through there with a pen if a player happened to come by. Big enough to look through, big enough to pass stuff through, but you're only going to get, like, you know, maybe 20 people around there. You're really kind of crammed in there a little bit. Sometimes players would come over, sign for like 4 or 5 people and say, all right, hey, I got to go. Sometimes they stand there and sign for, you know, 30 people, you know. There's 50 out there. He'll say, you know, yeah, okay, I signed for you, out of the way, get somebody else to pass theirs in, something like that. Whoever this player was, I don't remember who it was now, but they signed my ball. It might have been Kevin Millar, maybe, Bill Miller, somebody on the '04 Red Sox, though. Signs for a few of us, and then says, all right, hey, guys, I got to go. I'll get the rest of you later. And this woman screams out of the top of her lungs, thanks for nothing! And every single one of us, I mean, the groan that came from the crowd at her was just... Yeah, you could tell that most of the collectors out there were like, oh, wow, seriously? Didn't hear a word from her the rest of the time, at least. Unfortunately, whatever the player was, I don't remember. I'm pretty sure whoever it was probably signed again after that, so it didn't really affect them much. But don't be that guy. Don't do that. Don't call a player out for not signing or something like that. I mean, here's the big thing. They don't have to sign for you. They don't have to sign for me. They don't have to sign for you. They don't have to sign for anybody. If you get somebody, great. If you don't get them, so be it. The only ones that really piss me off is if somebody, you know, double and triple dips on a guy before anybody else gets them, but we're going to get to that here in a little bit. The only exception I'll make for not putting people on blast is when you're dealing with criminal elements in the hobby. If you have somebody that is a very widely known thief, forger, something like that, call them out every time you see them. That's the only place where I will make an exception on something like this. We've got one in the Dallas area here. I'm not going to name any names on him, but I'm sure that some of you probably know who I'm talking about if you're seeing this from this area. Or if you've ever been on... he's been banned from a couple of websites as well. But he's managed to sneak back on. I've sniffed him out each time. But he's the one that I will not hesitate to call out every single time. We have nearly come to blows outside of stadiums a couple times there because he doesn't like getting called out. Well, here's the thing. Don't steal people's stuff. Don't forge people's autographs. And nobody's going to call you out. Pretty simple. That's the only time I'm going to make an exception to that kind of a rule. Another do show effort whenever you're going and sending to a player, anything like that. The biggest thing is, I mean, like I said in there, Dave Steeb dealing with that, you know, same generic internet form letter copied over by people. That's ridiculous. Come up with something original. Put in the effort. I don't care if you don't know what to say. Just, I mean, the fact that you've actually taken time to sit there and write out a half page, maybe a full page, something like that to a player, that's going to mean a lot more to them than just, you know, getting a random envelope. They're actually going to see that effort in there. So, put in the effort. Write an appropriate letter. Handwrite it unless you have a really good reason not to. I mean, if you have, you know, debilitating arthritis or something, or if your handwriting looks like doctor's writing, then okay, you know, type it and everything. Just make sure it's sincere. Make sure they know that you put in the effort, that you didn't just copy it off of somewhere else. Put in details about the player, you know, why you're a fan of theirs, why you want their autograph. Ask them questions, something like that. You may not know a ton about the player, but you can always ask them about, you know, who was your favorite teammate? What pitcher was the toughest to face? What batter had the best luck against you? Where was your favorite place to play? That's one of the things that you've seen Aubrey drop in on some of my videos there, and she's mentioned that before. She's like, you know, I don't know who some of these guys are. I don't know what to write to them. So she asks questions, you know, what were your favorite stadiums to play in? Where was your favorite place to visit as a player? How much does your arm hurt now for throwing 3,000 career innings? Stuff like that, you know? Just make it sincere, put in the effort. That's going to get you a hell of a lot more success than anything else in this hobby. Another thing when it comes to showing effort is look for addresses yourself. There's so many sources out there for addresses. Sports Card Forum, sportscollectors.net, Star Tiger, a whole bunch of places. I mean, hell, you just go on Google, white pages, anything like that. You can probably find addresses on a lot of players. Don't just be that guy that's going to sit there and go, oh, address please, address please, address please, with every single success that you see out there. I mean, if anything, that's a sign that you probably really don't give a crap about the player very much, and you're just going to be another one of those inbox flutters there that's just trying to get a whole bunch of autographs and probably sell them off or something at some point. A nice throw. Got the Browns game on the background here, so kind of checking that out a little bit. Another thing that kind of goes along with the do show effort is don't be cheap. If a player has a fee, pay their fee. I I mean, you look at Wade Boggs, for example. Boggs was signing at $5 an item back about, this would have been maybe 2012, 2013, 2014. It was right after I ended up moving down here to Arlington. So he's charging like $5 an item. Not bad at all for Hall of Famers. Same price as, Ryan Sandberg and a couple of others, but you started seeing players or fans that would say, oh, well, I'll send him $5 and 2 cards. I'll send him $5 with 4 cards. There are a couple of people out there sending $5 with 6 cards. Not even $5 per. $5 total. In other words, 83.3 cents per card. That's ridiculous. If a player wants $5 per card, send them their damn $5 per card. I mean, it shouldn't be really that hard to deal with. Don't go begging them for freebies either. I mean, yeah, you can say, well, I didn't send him any money. He signed for me anyway. Ha, ha, ha. Screw you. $5 for a Hall of Famer is not that bad at all. And, I mean, just pay their fee if they have one. Go look at, Brooks Robinson's website. He's another one who, on his website, he's charging $55 per signature. And you get people paying, oh, well, I'll send them a card in $5. And, yeah, you're getting them back, but then quit signing for, a couple of years at a time. Wade Boggs quit signing for a while after people started sending the 6 cards in $5 every other month. It was fortunate for us that, Robinson started up again, that Wade Boggs started up again as well. But they are they can be very strict on their fees, and rightfully so. If they're asking for $10 a signature, just pay the $10. If you don't know how much they charge, then okay, you've got a little bit of an excuse. Like Ryan Sandberg, for example, some people send 10, some people send 5. He's never really put it out there at all, so I'd say go for the 5, If you're feeling, generous, fine, go for the 10 too. But he at least, there's a reason, there's an excuse there, reasonable excuse, if you send less to Ryan Sandberg. But at the same time, don't try to cheap him out. If somebody says, pay me $20 and I'll sign, pay him the $20. Yeah, paying for address sites is another big thing. It's one thing if you're saying, hey, I just need this one guy that I'm looking for an autograph from. I just need this one guy's address. Okay, fine. Somebody might give that to you. But if you keep on asking over and over again for freebies on this, sportscollectors.net is $15 a year, and that's one of the best autograph sites that's out there. Sports Card Forum, free to join. Great address bank on there. Don't be cheap. Put in the effort to look it up for yourself. Pay to get the good ones. Don't expect somebody to do it for you. If I pay $15 a year for it, you can pay $15 a year for it. You're going to save more in postage on getting good addresses than you're going to spend for that $15 a year. So, yeah, don't just, go begging for freebies on anything, whether it's a free autograph from somebody or whether it's for a free address from another collector. If they want to help you out, fine. They might. But at the same time, if you're a serial offender on this, they're going to catch on pretty quick. Patience is a big thing, so do wait your turn. Comes in mailing. These players have a life outside of just sitting there signing autographs. There was a post on Sports Card Forum where a guy was asking about paid autograph etiquette and saying, well, if I'm paying for an autograph, I should have it back to me within a week. And it's like, no, you shouldn't. These guys have a life outside of the hobby, number one. Number two, I figure, personally, if I'm willing to pay $5 for a guy's autograph, there's going to be a lot more out there that are willing to pay $5 for a guy's autograph, too. Wait your turn. They'll come back to you eventually. Don't act like these players have no excuse to, that they should be sending stuff back right that very second they get it. They have a life outside of your hobby. Another thing when it comes to waiting your turn is in-person graphing. Don't jump lines in person. One of the worst things is if you're standing there and a guy's about to come and sign for you and suddenly, 3 people jump right in front of you. It's like, excuse me, line over here. I've had that happen before. I've actually been accused of it before accidentally, too, and all I do is move to try to stretch my legs when we were all cramped up in a spot. Another thing is don't put your item over somebody else's. Try to find an example. Unfortunately, I don't have any of my autograph books right on hand. They're kind of tough to get to, but I'll show you an example here real quick. And actually, wait a second. Looks like I have assistants here to get that. So hold on for one moment here, and hopefully we will have that. I can't pause it. I can tell you exactly what I need. It's up on the top of the shelf over there. Please hold one moment. You see the 2 books that are up there? Yeah, those are what I need. I don't need the binder at all, just the 2 that are under it there, the smaller ones. Okay, well, whichever. So you get to see some of my tools of the trade here as well. Just pass the whole thing. I'll take the binder too. Thank you. All right. So the tools of the trade here for in-person graphing. So I've made up several books over the years here to hold cards in them. Fortunately, the cards are not in there right now because, I really haven't had a reason to, but it's this big spiral-bound thing right here that I have that has cardstock in it. And on the cardstock, it's kind of tough to see on this one since they're clear ones, but it has photo corners on there. You'll see with the light reflecting off them, but there's a couple paper ones here. Yeah, there's one of the paper ones on there. It's going to hold 3 cards per page, easily.
Ice cream.
Yeah, I hear the ice cream man there. And Browns kick a field goal. All right. But yeah, so this one, it holds 3 per page. You can put, the 3 right up here and have 6 right there for a player. Try not to go with that many if I can avoid it, but got that one. There's the this one I used for the NHL draft, which just had players I through N in them. But once again, this could hold about 4 cards per page on it. And I had it divided up, of course, with the letter tabs there as well. But as you can see there, you can fit in 4 cards, 5 cards, 3, however many cards you need of a player on there. So carry that around with me. Or there's the big binder that I use for the NASL 50th, which holds up to 9 per page. There we go. But, so one of the big things that I have to mention in here is don't put your book right on top of somebody else's. And there is one serial offender of this in the Dallas area. Again, not naming any names, but I'm sure a lot of the Dallas area collectors are going to know exactly who I'm talking about. She and her brother and her mom have basically ruined graphing in Arlington. But if I'm sitting there and I've got my book sitting out there waiting for somebody to sign, they're coming down the line signing for us. Don't put your book right over top of mine like that, like inches above it. That's ridiculous. Have some respect for people's space. Have some respect for the order that we're all standing in. The fact we're all in line. They're going to get to you eventually, If I have my binder out there, great, reach it over top of me, but give the player, some space to decide, I'm going to sign for this one first, then I'll sign up here, or something like that. Go over next to me. Go over, hopefully not in front of me, but, get out of my way, basically, is what I'm saying here. So, yeah, just, don't put your stuff right on top of somebody else's and give people space. I can't tell you how many times I've been pressed up against the brick wall there at the front of Arlington Stadium there when you get, 4 people deep all shoving against me trying to get somebody's autograph when I'm right up in the very front there. And it's like, look, if you guys wouldn't shove me into the wall here, I would get out of your way here so you can have a little bit more space, and I'll just wait in the back until the next player comes along. So let me have my spot back. And that's one of the biggest things. That's one of the best things that hopefully people will learn is give somebody space, get your stuff signed, and get out of the way and let them get back into their space. Cycle around like that, nobody's going to grab your space and then just, stay right there. At least hopefully they're not. They shouldn't. So yeah, give people space, whether it's the player, whether it's the your fellow collector, anybody like that. We're all in this together, basically, is what I'm saying. It's not a competition. Something that says whoever dives the most autographs wins, last time I checked. So if they do, I've got a decent start there, but I'm still way behind some people out there. Another don't for you that goes along with some of this is don't request a ton of items to be signed. Respect players' limits. If a guy is very well known for only signing 1 item per request, like, Rick Cerrone, like Will Clark, if they're only going to sign 1 per, send them 1. Don't try to get an extra bunch of freebies or anything like that. There's no real rule per se when it comes to, mailing off to a player with no limit, but at the same time, have respect for the hobby. The health of the hobby is more important than the size of your collection. That's something I've mentioned a lot, has become my absolute mantra for the hobby. So when sending by mail, typically I try to limit myself to no more than 4 cards of a single player. Once in a while, I'll go above that, but when it comes to any of the 4 major sports, I have never sent more than 6 to anybody, and I feel bad usually sending 6 if I do that. Indoor soccer, those ones I'll usually go a little bit more because, a lot of those guys are just like, oh my god, you remember who I am? Of course I'll sign everything you've got there, but for the most part, no more than 4 cards, no more than 2 photos, no more than 1 premium item. No player out there is going to want to receive a box that has 3 jerseys in it waiting to be signed. Nobody's going to want to receive, 10 photos. Nobody wants to get an envelope with, going back to Dave Steve, there are 17 cards and 10 index cards requesting 2 inscriptions on each and all this other kind of crap. Be reasonable, show some restraint, show some self-control. You can say all you want that, yeah, well, he can sign as many as he wants or as few as he wants. Screw you! You can make the decision on your own, and you should. Limit yourself. Keep the hobby healthy for the rest of us, for everybody else out there. Hopefully, the hobby has changed a lot since I've started in it. And this has only been 13 years I've been doing this heavily, and I sent my first one out in 1992, but wasn't really doing it on a serious basis back then. But God, it has changed a lot in that time. There's a lot of guys who don't sign at all. There's a lot of guys who charge. There's a lot of guys who will sign 1 per, something like that. And there's a lot of guys who have just completely stopped signing at all. Don't contribute to the reason that a player stops signing. It's the biggest piece of advice I can give anybody in this when it comes to graphing etiquette. Next one is on the do list, prep your cards. If you want the best looking autograph that's if you want the best looking autograph possible, you got to put in the effort with it. And so there's a couple different things you can do with them. A lot of cards you really don't have to do a whole lot of prep work if you're dealing with older ones. For example, I've got this 1982 Topps Dennis Lamp sitting right here. There's no real gloss on that card. I mean, yeah, there's the basic paper gloss there and everything, but it's typically not going to affect the autograph that much. Now, there are a few exceptions. I mean, a friend of mine got a 1970s hockey card back signed the other day with the autograph bubbling up on it. And 1990-91 Bowman hockey has been really bad for bubbling for some reason for me. And it's not even like the pen or anything, because, I mean, it's just with a plain Sharpie that works fine on other cards. It's something in there. So one of the things you do is, take it, rub it down with your thumb a little bit before you mail it out, before you put it on your board, before you for a in-person outing, something like that. Just, real quick. And for the most part, you're probably not going to have to do it with a lot of the older ones. 83 Fleer right here doesn't really need it at all. Where you are going to find needing it is a lot of newer cards. And unfortunately, I don't have any sitting right in here in this box. Here we go. This one. And for example, just using this in the game card as an example. Very glossy card. You can get the, whoa, yeah, look at that sheen off of that there from the lights. Those ones, anything with the gloss like that, usually cards from about 1994 on up toward the present are glossier ones. Those ones you might need to go a little bit more on your prep work with. Fortunately, there are a lot of really great ways to be able to counteract that gloss. Chrome cards especially, you're going to have to spend some time on those. Those, especially the last couple of years, have been really, really bad for potential autograph bubbling. So, a couple things you can use. Sprinkle on a little bit of baby powder and just rub it on over the surface of the card. You don't need a whole ton, just, a little tap out of a little container of it onto the card, wipe it in, good to go. Wipe your hand off, don't, leave it sprinkled all over your card booklet or anything like that. Another thing that works really well is a white polymer eraser. Don't have one sitting right here at the moment. Very easy to find at any kind of office supply store. Just look in their pen and pencil aisle. White polymer eraser, those things work great. Just, rub it over the entire surface of the card. Just a quick pass over the entire thing should work pretty well. Just, taking shoom, 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 shoom across the top, shoom, 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 shoom across the bottom. Make sure the whole surface is covered, maybe one across the middle there. You're good to go. Another one, if you're really in a pinch and you don't have your baby powder on, you don't have your white polymer eraser on you, your body makes a great thing for counteracting that gloss. Right here on the side of your nose, you're probably going to get a lot of skin grease there. Yeah, my wife's disgusting whenever I talk about that, as you probably just heard right there. Get on your thumb, rub it around on the card, make sure that you're not leaving any, gigantic greasy splotches there or anything like that, but it's just skin grease, skin oil, whatever like that. Rub it around on the card, you're going to be good to go. It works very well in a pinch. I have never had a problem with it bubbling up at all. Just, like I said, make sure it's rubbed in really well there, but that counteracts it. Pretty gross, huh, kids? So there you go. Make sure you're prepping your cards, especially if you're sending stuff to somebody for a 50-50 or a private signing or something like that. Don't expect them to prep the cards for you. Do it yourself before you send it. Make sure it gets done, and that's going to guarantee you having the best autograph possible. Mentioned earlier about double and triple dipping and just hating people that do that. So yeah, don't do that. If you're in person, don't jump into a line up along, along the ballpark fence or anything like that. Don't jump in a second time ahead of other people who haven't gotten a chance to get an autograph yet. Let them get theirs, and then if the player's still willing to sign afterward, go to the end of the line, get them again over there. Typically, I don't do that. I've gotten called out whenever I've tried to a couple of times. I think it was... who was there? Somebody for the Dallas Stars a couple of years ago. Was Ray Whitney, possibly? I think it might have been Ray Whitney. I don't remember. But I remember I got him before practice one day, and then after practice, he's come back out and signs for all of us. And as he's in the middle of signing for me, he says, "Didn't I get you before practice?" I'm like, yeah, you did. Yeah, you caught me, Skippy. So don't double and triple dip on guys. If you do, wait until after everybody else gets theirs first. Don't jump in line a second time ahead of other people. And if you're doing this by mail, don't send more than once to a player in like a 6-month span, and preferably a year span. Because, again, that goes back to, what I was talking about with Wade Boggs there, where he was starting to get 6 cards, $5 every month from the same people. I mean, you start seeing names that you recognize after a bit there, and you go, wait a second, I think I've signed for you before. So, if you get a guy, that's awesome. Wait 6 months before you do it again. The only reason I could possibly find to go for a guy again in that time, if you're paying for his autograph, okay, fine, because to me, when you're paying for an autograph, that's no longer asking them to do something for you, it's a business transaction. You're saying, here's money, please do this for me. They're providing a service. If that's the case, fine. Go ahead, send multiple times. But if it's somebody that you're sending with no money or anything, then they don't ask for money, wait on it. Sit for at least 6 months, preferably wait for a year. There are players I've sent to, multiple times at various times, but the number of them that were within a year of each other, or a year of sending twice, maybe two players ever. Andre Thornton, I remember sending to a couple times in like a 6 to 8 month span, and Marc-Andre Fleury was another one. That's it, though, but yeah, just try to space it out as best you can. Lastly, this one applies to not just the hobby, but to things in all of life. Be honest in all of your dealings. If you say you're going to do something, do it, especially when it comes to trades. If you say you're going to trade something to somebody, don't back out at the last second and say, oh, no, I'm just going to hang on to this for now. No. If you say you're going to agree to a trade, make the trade. At the same time, though, don't waste somebody's time and, have them scan 50 cards for you and say, oh, nope, nothing I need there, sorry. It's pretty annoying, too. If you know somebody is ghost signing, if you know for a fact that somebody's ghost signing, say so. Personally, if I have an autograph in my collection and it's fake, I would like to know that it's fake. Now, of course, if it's, just this assumption of it, or just, you suspect that something's fake, no, don't bring it up. Don Sutton right now is the big one. There's been a lot of people saying, oh, yeah, those Suttons are all ghost signed. I don't know. It matches a lot of his certified autographs that he's just, signing smaller now on cards, it seems, maybe. But I don't know. Sutton is one that I don't even bring up. But somebody like Mike Schmidt, I'll bring up every single time I see it, because those are clearly ghost signed. He's openly admitted they're ghost signed. And yet there's still some people out there in the collecting world that look at that and they go, oh, yeah, look at me. I got Mike Schmidt. No, you didn't. They go, well, I don't want to know if it's not. And I'm like, okay, go ahead and fool yourself then, but whatever. Personally, I want to know. If something out that I've gotten back is a fake, tell me. Give me some, things to compare it to. If you think it might be fake, bring it up and say, hey, how certain are you on this? And at least gives me a chance to go look around, do a little bit of a comparison or something. Likewise, if you know something is fake, say so. I mean, the worst thing that you can possibly do is, like, let's say that I acquire an autograph in a trade, hang on to it for a while, and then a couple years later I go to trade it to somebody else. I would hate to find out that I'd acquired a fake one and now I'm passing off to somebody thinking that it's real. If you know something is fake, say so. I mean, obviously, don't be accusatory of it. Don't be snarky with it. But, say, hey, are you certain on that being authentic? I mean, most of my autographs that I've got here, I've seen them signed with my own eyes. I do a lot of in-person graphing. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, then I've gotten it by mail, and a lot of people have been able to compare those and say that, yeah, these ones are real, or no, these ones are ghost signed. So for the most part, I know who the ghost signers are. I know which ones are good. I know which ones are bad. But at the same time, if it's something I traded for that I've never gotten in person, that I didn't get by mail, say something. Give me a chance to look it over. Give me a reason to look it over and everything. But yeah, do so without being snarky. Don't sit there and go, fake, on every single autograph you see or anything like that either. So, a little bit of autographing etiquette right there. Hopefully that works out well for everybody. Hopefully you learned something here. Hopefully none of you do any things that are on the don't pile there. Hopefully there's more of the do's out there. But yeah, there you go. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button down there. Hopefully we'll have some more how-to videos on the autograph world coming up soon, and probably some more show-off Sunday videos as well. And, of course, we're going to be hoping for some full mailboxes as well for the regular midweek videos. We'll see you next time.